There is no spectacle greater than the majestic strength of an oncoming steam train. Wheels grinding steel on steel. Blasts of steam piercing mountain air. We are about to embark upon one of the continent's most exciting adventures aboard the grandest lady of steam, the Royal Hudson. The Royal Hudson 2860 was built in the year 1940 at the Montreal Locomotive Works by more than 200 of the finest engineers and machinists. Each part of the engine was handcrafted and custom fit, preparing the steam giant for her trip to the West Coast, where she began 16 years of faithful service on the Vancouver-Revelstoke line. With the advent of the diesel in 1956, the Royal Hudson was left unattended in a Winnipeg scrapyard. 60 engines fell that year to the cutting torch, but the Royal Hudson survived. Purchased by the BC government, the 2860 was restored and returned to service in 1974. Today, it is operated by the Royal Hudson Steam Train Society and is the largest in-service locomotive in North America, a tribute to the almost forgotten world of regal steam. One hour before departure, the fireman is out on the wipe walk, placing the flags which signal a special run. The time-honored tradition of oiling the valve gears lets us know that we're almost ready to roll. Some people say the real thrill of steam locomotion is right in the engine cab. The fireman is watchful on the left, the engineer on the right. The whistle, a train signature, is operated by the engineer with a pull cord. So climb aboard, relax, and steam back in time with the historic Royal Hudson on BC's #1 sightseeing tour. As we steam out of the North Vancouver terminal, we pass under the famous Lions Gate Bridge. Spanning almost a mile over the Burrard Inlet, the bridge links mainland Vancouver with the North Shore. Encompassing 1,000 acres of natural woodland across Burrard Inlet is the ever-popular Stanley Park. One of the many highlights on our tour is the crossing of the Capilano River, a spawning ground for several varieties of salmon which travel up the river to the hatchery. The community of West Vancouver, first settled in 1907, is often referred to as the wealthiest per capita in all of Canada. Its residents hold the Royal Hudson in great esteem. It is the only train allowed to blow its whistle within city boundaries. Today's excursion takes us 40 scenic miles up the rugged coastline of Howe Sound, where some of the continent's most spectacular scenery awaits us. Our destination is Squamish, only a few miles south of the entrance to Garibaldi Provincial Park, which attracts lovers of the outdoors by the thousands every year. The whistle of the Hudson can be a truly haunting sound, heard miles around on a clear day, but right now it signals the Horseshoe Bay Tunnel at 4,200 feet, the longest of 6 tunnels on the Squamish line. The Royal Hudson has true blue blood. In 1939, her twin sister, the 2850, was used to pull the Royal Tour train which brought King George VI and Queen Elizabeth on the 3,000-mile trip from Quebec City to Vancouver. It was the first North American locomotive to complete such a lengthy run. As a result, the designer, H.B. Bowen, obtained royal assent to dub all Hudsons Royal and to apply the same crown casting which adorned the 2850. The entrance to Howe Sound is marked by Horseshoe Bay. In the distance lie Bowen and Gambier Islands, essentially recreational areas accessible only by passenger ferries. At one time, these islands along our route were part of the mainland. After the Great Ice Age, the glacial melt caused ocean levels to rise by several hundred feet, creating the many spectacular fjords, sounds, and inlets which typify the British Columbia coastline. On his customary rounds, the conductor is always a cheerful sight, making sure the passengers are comfortable and well looked after. Courteous hostesses are ready to serve you throughout the trip. And feel free to wander through to the other coaches. Before you know it, the rhythm of the track will fill you with the wonder of a marvelous carnival ride. The maximum speed of the Royal Hudson is in excess of 105 miles per hour. Today, the Iron Lady of Power is steaming along comfortably at 20 to 25 miles per hour for the passengers' scenic enjoyment. Specifically designed as a passenger steamer for service in British Columbia, The seating capacity of the train, with 14 coaches, is as many as 850 passengers. For the adventurous photographer, there is always an open window for the exhilarating rush of wind and sound, and more often than not, a perfect picture. Approaching Squamish, we pass by Britannia Beach, where highway and railway are so close together that motorists often pace the train for still a closer look at the engine. All locomotives are identified by their wheel arrangement. The Hudson 464 has a set of 4 guide wheels, followed by 6 drive wheels, followed by 4 more guide wheels. A meet with a freight train is next on the schedule, and before you can say, "Train a-comin'," she's here. One of the most spectacular photo opportunities of the tour can be found at Porto Cove, where the road crosses the track, permitting safe and easy access to visitors. Not recommended for the faint of heart. Having made numerous goodwill tours through the prairies, the east, and parts of the United States, the Royal Hudson has become this country's most widely traveled ambassador of steam. Arriving at Squamish, we find a bustling railroading and logging center. Its name is derived from the native Indian tongue, meaning strong winds. In addition to the variety of recreational activities in the area, such as fishing, golf, downhill and cross-country skiing, it also attracts experienced mountain climbers who find an endless challenge on the steep frontal ascent of neighboring Squamish Chief. While in Squamish, let's take advantage of the stopover to visit legendary Shannon Falls. According to Indian legend, a dreaded serpent, Sinathko, rose from the depths of Howe Sound and with his scaly body tore into the side of the mountain, creating what is known to us now as Shannon Falls. Another Squamish adventure we will not want to miss is a glacier air tour. From the vantage point of our modern aircraft, we can only marvel at the timeless beauty unfolding beneath us. 15,000 years ago, a huge ice sheet covered the entire Pacific Northwest. Even the deep water of Howe Sound was filled with ice. The vast sheet gradually receded, exposing the unusual landforms we're seeing today. The Garibaldi Provincial Park area exhibits the result of volcanic activity that occurred eons ago under the ice. Garibaldi Mountain stands over 8,000 feet high, one of the many mountains forming a volcanic chain up the entire coast. The volcanoes poured lava and steam into the ice sheets, leaving strange molten shapes, some curiously scraped clean as the ice receded. For the return leg of our journey, some of our passengers have decided to cruise through Howe Sound aboard the MV Britannia, Vancouver's largest charter vessel. A delicious salmon barbecue makes a perfect treat for the hungry traveler. Now all there is to do is find a good spot on the top deck and watch the scenery slip past. Bob Swanson, the man who designed and built the superheated steam whistle for the Royal Hudson, has also written this inspired song.
In the Capilano Canyon, where the sun don't shine, there's a mighty fancy choo-choo on a crooked line. You can hear her whistle blowing with a lonesome wail as you ride the Royal Hudson on the BC rail. Choo-choo train on a crooked railroad, choo-choo train with a lonesome wail. Choo-choo train slinking through the mountains as you ride the Royal Hudson on the BC rail. Now Smoky Smithy is the engineer. The way he blows his whistle is a pleasure to hear. He can fill her, he can fill her, he can lean on the sill as he steers his locomotive up the Squamish hill. Smoky Smith leaning on the window, Smoky Smith leaning on the sill. Smoky Smith moaning on the whistle as he steers his locomotive up the Squamish hill. Filled her up with water and he bailed in cold. He widened on the throttle and she started to roll. Gave a highball on the whistle and he rang the bell. And we're heading up for Squamish like a bat out of hell. Choo-choo train moving rough with water. Choo-choo train ringing on the bell. Choo-choo train highball on the whistle and we're heading up for Squamish like a bat out of hell. He was 2 hours late. We've been waiting at the siding for the southbound train. How we tried to put his passenger into Congo line. When he wheeled her into Squamish, he was right on time. Right on time, wheeling into Squamish. Right on time, kissing on her tail. Right on time, customs brought his passage as we ride the Royal Hudson on the BC rail. Train on a crooked railroad, choo-choo train with a lonesome wail. Choo-choo train, highball on the whistle, come and ride the Royal Hudson on the BC rail.
Steaming on and on, the Royal Hudson is a tribute to the people who love her, keeping alive the adventure for generations to come. Farewell, Iron Lady, till we meet again.